Good morning, everybody. Glad to see you today. And if you want to follow along, we'll be back in the 12th chapter of Proverbs, beginning in the 13th verse, and kind of a long section here. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in as Solomon continues to give his young son guidance, in particular here into an area that is still to this day of critical importance, and that is the danger in our words, how we talk, what we say, how we say it, and the difference between, again, a wise man and a foolish man in their speech. Verse 13, he says, "The wicked is snared by the transgression of his lips." The wicked man, his own words are his trap. His own words trip him up and catch him. His own lies, his own gossip, his own slander, they cause him trouble. But the just, he says, shall come out of trouble. An honest man, a righteous man, says his words are beneficial, and they avoid trouble because they don't talk themselves into trouble. And all of us have at some point in our life had that happen, where our own words came back to haunt us. And so he says, be careful of what you say. Verse 14, "A man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hand shall be rendered unto him." Again, he's kind of building on that previous thought, that a righteous man, his words, what he says, actually benefit him and help him in his life. Verse 15, he kind of approaches this from the other side. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. Not only does a righteous man, a godly man, a wise man is careful of his speech, he is wise enough to listen and take the advice of other godly men's words, what they have to say. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame. A wise man doesn't get angry quickly. He's able to overlook and ignore even the insults, the spiteful words, the things that may be said by others. Whereas a wise man, he is patient. He is willing to, again, able to overcome those kinds of things from other people. "He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit." Wise man, this is just some straightforward stuff that a lot of us learn from grandparents, learn from older influences in our life. He says a righteous man tells the truth, that you can trust the word of a righteous man, whereas a wicked man, his words, he says, are the witness of deceit. Then he goes on and says, "There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health." All of us know that words hurt. There's that saying that kids like to say sometimes, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never hurt me. Give them time. They will. Somebody will say something that hurts, that cuts to the very core of who you are. But a wise man, he says, they use words. He says the evil man's words are like being cut by a sword. Many of you have experienced that, unfortunately. He says, but a wise man, his words bring health. His words are healing. His words are comforting, encouraging to others. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Again, as Solomon continues to speak about truth here, he says the truth endures. When it's all said and done, and again, most of us have probably experienced something along these lines, that eventually, what is it we say, the truth comes out. And we find out the truth, and the truth will win in the end. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy. A righteous man gains satisfaction in the peace that he brings, the joy that he brings to others. Whereas the righteous man, he enjoys making trouble, or the unrighteous man, the wicked man, enjoys making trouble. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. And again, remind you, these are proverbs. These are not principles. Generally speaking, the wise man, the righteous man, is protected from trouble, and the wicked man has to deal with the judgment and the consequences of his sin. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. Ultimately, Solomon says that our words, they either anger God, they are either, God hates them, God despises the words and our speech, or we bring him great joy. I don't remember exactly the whole story, but I remember hearing a comedian one time talking about that and said, I can't remember what they're out in public, their son said something just really, just said something off the wall, and said, I thought to myself, I've waited for years for you to think. I used to pray for you to be able to talk. And probably all of us have had that kind of experience with our kids. We tried to get them to talk, and then when they finally say something, it's embarrassing. Sometimes the words we say, Solomon says, they offend God, they anger God. And a prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. Wise man doesn't have to brag, doesn't have to speak up. I won't. I will. I'll speak his name. I think about a dear, what I would consider a dear friend, a counselor, somebody I really respected a great deal, that was part of our church for many years before passing away. Some of you may remember him, and that's Kemp Meggs. Kemp never told me how smart he was. Kemp never told me what he knew, but I knew that he was a wise man. He didn't have to tell me. I knew it. Whereas some people think they got to tell you how smart they are. And I think most of us have learned that those that have to tell us how smart they are probably are not that smart. And this whole section, and I went through it very quickly, maybe you'll go back and spend a little time looking at it, but it just stresses to us and reminds us how important it is that we are wise in our speech and how we talk, in what we say, because my father-in-law, I've heard him say for years, what's in the well will come up in the bucket, and the words that come out of our mouth reveal truly what's in our heart. And so I challenge you as you go through today, think about those words. Think about what they say, about what's in your heart. Think about what your words, what your speech tells others about our God. Something really serious to think about. You have a good day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.